Good afternoon or evening or whatever it's going to be, folks. Um, this is going to be a synopsis. Synopsis. Can't speak this morning. A rundown, a brief rundown, since I can't seem to say that word, of what I did yesterday, which was much longer, much more detailed, in depth, and unfortunately no one could see it because I got a copyright. Even though I used my own personal DVD and I didn't play a whole movie, and I only played a lot of clips, I'll admit that, but most of the time they were interrupted with my own commentary and own thoughts. Some of them I let play completely through without any interruption, because who wants to listen to some chowderhead, talk over everything all the time, even when if they pause it or whatever. It's just like, just let it play. And I recognize that. And I tried my best to put out a very good, objective critique. Not really a critique. More, I'll just sit with commentary. And a breakdown of the film V for Vendetta. Man, I cannot speak today. My tongue's all twisted up. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so today, because I was not able to release that, and one person left a comment, it must have been good. And I said, yeah, I think it was good. I really do think it was very good. And that's probably why it took all day for it to upload. And then when it did upload, they wouldn't let anybody see it because they gave me a copyright. Even though, like I said, I used my own DVD. I didn't play the whole movie through, and I interrupted it a bunch of times. It just didn't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do that again, because that's a waste of time. It's a waste of time yesterday, it'd be a waste of time again. I don't have the time to do it today anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you in this drive-in talk, what I was intending to do. And it won't be as nearly as entertaining or as, aesthetically pleasing, since you're just looking at a black screen here, is what I had up yesterday. But the information will still get out. And right now I'm sticking with the title, Imagine If You Will. I think that's a good title for this, because that's probably why I also got it taken down, because like a dummy I put V for Vendetta breakdown, very important. So it's not drawing attention to yourself, but that's pretty much what I was trying to do, and I really didn't think I was going to get a copyright on it, considering I was using my own DVD and just not playing the whole movie through, but it doesn't seem to matter anymore. So anyway, this is it. Imagine if you will, and this won't be hard, because in certain ways we're pretty much living it right now. In certain ways. In the film, for those of you who have seen the film, I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. And it's a pretty old movie. It's about 20 years old now. But for those of you who haven't, or maybe you're just familiar with it because of the Guy Fawkes mask that they wear pretty much every November 5th in their Million Man March in London, or in the UK, I should say. And you see them in certain stores. They sell them in certain stores. The Guy Fawkes mask, Anonymous wears them on their videos on the Anonymous YouTube channel. They were very, very popular years ago. Maybe not so much now. Like I said, except for their Million Man March, if they still do that thing every November 5th. Because V for Vendetta is basically the inspiration behind the terrorist that they call V is Guy Fawkes, from the gunpowder treason and plot of 1605, where Guy Fawkes plotted to blow up Parliament. And so some of you might be familiar with this. Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I see no reason that the 5th of November should ever be forgotten. Okay, maybe some of you have heard that, maybe you haven't. But the 5th of November seems to be a significant time in certain movies like Back to the Future and obviously V for Vendetta and so forth. So what I was trying to do here is, and maybe a last-ditch effort, I don't know, try to help people that if they won't listen to you or to any kind of logic or reasoning, or you're trying to get them to just kind of wake up and see what's going on, what's happening, whether it's family members, friends, co-workers, people you care about, whatever. And they're not going to listen to anything about the Bible. They're not going to listen to anything about Jesus. They're not going to listen to anything about any of that, any of those important things. Well, what people usually will listen to or pay attention to, even for entertainment purposes only, are movies, television shows, funny commercials, and music. So, and that's how, the elites put out their playbook. And although the Winter Soldier really kind of showed everybody everything in the playbook, I thought about it more yesterday when I woke up. I'm like, I can't believe I forgot this one. V for Vendetta is the playbook. V for Vendetta, the movie came out 2005, 2006, I think, by the Wachowski brothers, who are pretty much sisters now, the Wachowski sisters, excuse me, who are the same people that are responsible for the Matrix movies. They were the creators of V for Vendetta, the film. It's taken from a graphic novel, DC comic book, graphic novel kind of thing. And so the movie's rated R for a variety of reasons, language and mostly blood and violence, But imagine, if you will, a dystopian society where there are curfews every night, where you can't go out after you have to be indoors from 10:30 p.m. to 5:30 a.m., where the media is controlled by the government. Not really a government, more like a dictator, okay? But the media is controlled. Everything you see and watch and listen to is controlled. The law enforcement is controlled. Everything is basically an authoritarian, totalitarian dictatorship. And this is sometime in the future, you would think, because when the film starts out, you've got this guy by the name of Prothero, who is a very shady character, but he's also kind of like the talking head voice of the government, not necessarily the voice of the people, but he's a useful idiot, kind of like Sean Hannity, or pick your favorite talking head on whatever news program people watch. There's tons of them. Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, Joe Scarborough. Pick your favorite talking head idiot, useful idiot, that is just going to, espouse and spout off whatever they're told to spout off to the general public. And they will be they are the voice, okay? So the government uses this guy, Prothero, to make announcements, to have his own talk show, to inform people of what the government wants them to know. But remember, it's all controlled and it's all spun. All right? Now, this is a dystopian future in London, in England, specifically, I guess you could say. Well, I don't know if it's London. It's actually England. No, it is London. It is London. But anyway, all right, regardless, it's in England, okay? And they talk at the very beginning of the movie about the former United States of America. The former United States of America undergoing its civil war. And talking about how we in the United States basically have no food, we're going through a famine, how we can no longer get medications, how we can no longer treat our people with health care. Any of this sounding familiar? Basically, how America is crumbling. And we reach out to England for help. And basically, by trying to send whatever we can in a gesture of goodwill. And he's saying we ought to dump it all into the water, like at the Boston Tea Party so many years ago. Okay, so it's historical in that way, but the United States is going through its second civil war. Now, people cannot go out at night. They must be in their homes. And to make sure that this happens, the government has these loudspeakers, basically, throughout the city, on the streets. And that's how they can make the announcements to the people, not only through their televisions, which is completely controlled, but, they make the announcements through these loudspeakers. And so everyone knows that it's curfew time. Well, this young woman decides that she's going to go out because she's going to have this secret rendezvous. Well, the other way the government tries to stop this from happening is they put what basically are kind of like Secret Service agents called fingermen on the streets to basically enforce the curfew. But they're very cruel. They're very evil. And there's no law here. It's complete lawlessness. Kind of like ICE thugs. Okay? I'm just going to call it out. People like it, don't like it, whatever. But they don't have to follow any laws. They're not restricted in any way. They can do whatever they want. So they capture this woman, or they harass her, I should say. And who knows what they're going to do to her. Basically, they imply that they're going to rape her because she's out after the time that she should be. And instead of being decent people and escorting her back and, maybe giving her a ticket or even arresting her properly, no, they're not going to do that. They're going to probably, try to hurt her, most likely. Well, enter the character of V, and this guy is a revolutionary. This guy has been hurt a lot by the government. He has been tested on. He has been a guinea pig with their evil, medical experiments. And he is basically burned to a crisp, okay? So he wears a mask to hide his face, because it's so grotesque, and he doesn't want anybody to really know who he is. And he wears gloves to basically cover his whole body, and a black cape and so forth. But he is incredibly violent. He is incredibly tough. He also wears body armor, and he does not mind killing people. He'll injure them if he has to, but he has no problem killing any government agents or police officers or anybody else. Hence the title V for Vendetta. Okay? So, he rescues this woman, takes him back to where he lives, treats her like a house guest and so forth, introduces himself and everything, but he lets her go. She goes back to work, and she just happens to work at the television network where the producer there actually treats his employees pretty well. He's not Prothero, okay, that this is the television network, but it is highly monitored and controlled. Prothero is like a talking head for the government with his own talk show. This is the actual television network, okay? Well, V decides that he's going to attack the television network because they are putting out false propaganda, and because he wants to take over the airwaves so he can put his message out to try to inspire people to no longer be slaves to their government and to no longer bow down, kowtow, whatever, kiss the ring. And so in doing so, of course, the police are called in and this and that, and they call him a terrorist, and he kind of is to a certain extent. He's more of a revolutionary. He winds up killing a whole bunch of police officers or whatever. But to spin the whole thing, even though V had an elaborate plan to take over the news stations, the airwaves, so he can put his message out to the people. Because the people have been subjugated and oppressed for so long, living in fear because of everything that's been released upon them. Think 2020, think mandates, think, illegal, procedures, illegal mandates. I already used that word, but think about how people get fired or got fired, lost their jobs for standing up, lost their jobs for refusing to wear the mask, that whole kind of thing. So they subjugated people, they oppressed people because the people tried to stand up, or maybe they didn't. They don't really get into that too much, but they were completely controlled by fear. So, but what they do is they can't hide what happened, so they spin it. So they dress somebody up, tell me if this doesn't sound familiar, they dress somebody up to look like V, the terrorist, in the mask and everything, and then they show this footage of the police actually gunning him down. And they make everybody believe that the terrorist has been neutralized, the threat is neutralized, go back to your lives, citizens, everything's fine. But a lot of these people, they've been lied to for so long, and they're starting to get a little more red-pilled, that they don't believe it. They don't buy it. They think it's all a bunch of junk, right? So, and then they know that it's not true because V releases his message over the airwaves. Because like I said, he was able to take over the airwaves. I don't know exactly how, but he has the technological expertise to do it. He releases his message to the public, and he inspires people that a year from that day, because what happened was, forgot about this part, when he rescues the young woman Evie from the fingerman, the V blows up a building called the Bailey Building. Forgot about this part. To get everyone's attention, and of course they spin that, and they say that was a controlled demolition, and it was already planned. They just didn't let the public know because they didn't want it to be a mass panic, but it was a controlled demolition, which it wasn't. He blew up the building. So they spun that. Then he goes and he attacks the airwaves, and then they spin the fact that they killed him, which they didn't kill him, obviously. All right. So then he releases his message. So now the chancellor, the dictator, the guy that's in charge of everything, okay, a very religious conservative man, okay, but the religion is the only is the religion that they will only allow, which is basically Catholic Church pedophilia. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? Watch the movie if you don't believe me, okay, or at least scenes. Okay, yeah, that's the religion that's allowed. Okay, so anyway, the chancellor's upset. He gets all of his yes men in there, the police inspector, who's actually a decent guy, and all his other yes men, but they're all under control of the government. They're all under the government control, the mind control, the hypnosis and everything. And the inspector really wants to do a proper investigation, but his hands are tied. And now, what are we going to do about this terrorist? Because he's on the airwaves now, and he's telling people a year from now, so the next November 5th, take your country back. Organize, protest, take your country back. And V, from the inside, is going to make sure that the people can do that, because he has a very elaborate plan to take down this government. In the process of all of this, though, a lot of truth is revealed. A lot of truth about a lot of different things. And they talk about how during the time of building this new government, how they took citizens and they basically treated them like guinea pigs, like the homeless, the destitute, the people that, the less thans, the ones that nobody, the throwaways of society, and that they would test on them like guinea pigs and test their serums and their B shots, let's put it that way, and everything on them. And in the process, create viruses to control the people, release them through the water, release them through the air, and so forth. Is any of this stuff sounding familiar? Okay, so they kill a lot of people in the process, and there's a place called Lark Hill. Well, V happened to be one of these people. And the reason he gets the name V is when they're locked away in their cells before they test on them, then his cell is V, which is Roman numeral number 5. So that's why he calls himself V. You never know what his real name is. But somehow he's able to set this place ablaze, and he gets burned in the fire and everything, and and he takes the whole thing down. They don't show all that, but he takes the whole thing down. But in the process of surviving, and in the process of wanting to get his revenge on everybody that's involved, well, the Prothero guy I was talking about, he was actually the commander in charge of this military operation, is basically what it was. They said it was a bioweapons lab, engineer bioweapons lab. That's what they claimed it was, but it was actually a testing ground for viruses and to basically treat people like guinea pigs, and then they would throw lye on them in mass graves. Any of that sounding familiar? When they died, and just simply cover them up. So eventually this place is destroyed, but Prothero, the Catholic pedophile priest, pope, whatever, and a doctor, a female doctor, who is very conflicted about what she's doing, are the ones that basically are in charge of this whole operation. Okay? Well, V gets revenge on all of them. He uses Evie to do it, to dress up like a young girl because the Catholic priest, pope, whatever thing, religious leader of the day is a pedophile. And in the process, she agrees to help. He winds up killing the Catholic priest, rescuing her once again. Actually, she runs out because she's not exactly sure what to believe, but when the priest begins to attack her, then she believes V more than the priest, because at first she's blue-pilled. At first she's just a young girl, been hurt, her family was taken from her, her parents, her brother, and so forth, and she doesn't really know what to believe, and she would like to believe in her leadership, she would like to believe in the church, she would like to believe in the religious leaders. So she's kind of conflicted. But anyway, V uses her as a pawn, basically, to get access to the Catholic priest, whatever, chambers, and the process kills him. She runs off again. He, later on, he breaks into Prothero's home. He kills him. He injects the doctor in her sleep with some kind of poison. And winds up killing her, but he's much more merciful because she was more merciful to him, but yet still involved. So, but he does not believe in redemption with these people, or, he doesn't really care. And most of them are not remorseful or regretful, unlike the doctor who was. But he still winds up killing her anyway because of what she did, and being engaged in this mass genocide of innocent people. So, in the process of everything else, he emails the inspector, okay, that's in charge of this investigation, because he thinks he's a moral man and he's right, and the inspector really wants to know the truth. So now V tells him the truth of everything. How the government took control of everything through this chancellor, Adam Sutler, Lark Hill, St. Mary's, which is, they made a memorial for that, where a lot of children died because they're testing on everybody. They release this stuff for the air, and through the air and through the water, and they blame it on terrorists. They blame it on revolutionaries, where it's their own government doing it themselves to keep people under subjugation and oppression, and to keep them fearful. Any of this sound familiar? So, in the process of that, he meets in disguise. He meets with the inspector, and he tells them this story that sounds almost unbelievable, but it's true. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. When he tells him the story, the inspector believes him. Of course, he can't prove any of it. But during this time frame, he is setting it up to where these people, because all they want is power, they're willing to take each other out. The ones in the government, the chancellor, the yes men, and so forth. And they're tired of taking orders from the chancellor. They think he's losing it, and he's a dictator, and they're sick of him, and they want power, and they want control. So V sets it up to where they are able to take each other out in the process. Okay? So that way, he can get his revolution going. Now, all this happens within that year's time frame. And once the inspector sees that this is all truth, then he basically becomes more on the side of V. Okay? Without, starting a revolution or being involved in the revolution, he's definitely not on the side of the evil, corrupt government anymore. Because now he sees that everything is true that V is telling him. It's just hard for him to believe that his government could be that evil, and the chancellor and these yes men could be that evil, but they are. And he's one of them, except for the fact that he's trying to be objective to the point where he's trying to do a proper investigation. But like I said, they tie his hands. They tell him what you can and can't say. They spin everything. Coming toward the end of the film, it's a long, long movie, but coming toward the end of the film, V sets it up to where these people are able to take each other out. So now there's nobody left to give orders to the military, because what V does is he sends all of these Guy Fawkes masks out to all the citizens of London. And they've already heard his speech, trying to get the citizens to rise up. They see how evil their government is now, and the citizens want to rise up. And innocent people have been killed, and a little girl gets shot, and they've had enough. These fingermen are nothing but thugs. They're the real terrorists. And so people have had enough. So now that they have these masks that they can wear, and that people strengthen numbers and people can all come together, then they're willing to fight against their government. Any of that sound familiar? And so the military is set up, and they're ready to fire on unarmed civilians, because all these people are doing is marching with Guy Fawkes masks. The only law they're breaking is they're breaking curfew at this point in time, but who cares about that? You have to be in by 10:30 p.m. each night. You can't leave your house again until 5 or 5:30 a.m. or whatever. Basically go to work at school and go home. Go to the bar or the club or restaurant or whatever, go home, whatever these people do. So then the people organize en masse, like a 1,000,000-man march. I think that's what inspired this every November 5th. So they organize en masse. But now there's nobody there to give the orders to the military. So they have to act on their own, basically on their own conscience, their own recognizance or what have you. And is that the word? Maybe not. But anyway, but they have to, basically use their conscience. Like, are we going to fire on unarmed civilians? We're waiting for orders. But guess what? V has either killed everybody or had people kill each other off in the leadership to where there's nobody left to give orders to the military. So they're waiting for orders from high command. They're waiting to hear something. But there's nobody left to give them any orders. So they have to decide, what are we going to do? So one guy finally gets a spine, a commander, or colonel or whatever, and he says, stand down, stand down. So they let the people march toward them. They don't hurt them. They don't try to attack the military. They're just simply marching in peaceful protest. And nobody gets killed. And they do not fire on the unarmed citizenry. In the process, though, V is fighting off what's left, the remnant of what's left of the evil government, and then he winds up getting killed. But before he does, he set it up to where a train station that was actually blocked off, but he's able to unblock it. He sets it up with like fertilizer and other explosives, and puts it in the train, so when they throw the switch, the train will go right past Parliament and will blow up Parliament, just like Guy Fawkes tried to do in 1605, and give the government back to the people, signifying that there's going to be a new Parliament, that the old is done, the new is on its way. And so the people actually wind up winning in this case, but only after years of oppression and subjugation and death, genocide, and basically no freedom, no rights, living under an insurrection act, martial law, curfew, you name it. Only after years of that. Now, of course, this is a comic book, graphic novel turned into a movie. It's not real, but a lot of the movie tells you the truth about a lot of things regarding the pharmaceutical industry, regarding viruses, regarding plagues, regarding testing on people, regarding mass genocide, regarding a lot of horrible things that humans do to humans and governments do to their people. So I wish I could have uploaded what I put out, but they weren't going to let me, because it would make a whole lot more sense if you could see what I'm talking about rather than what I'm talking about. But you can look up clips for yourself, I guess, or see the movie for yourself. Like I said, it is rated R. Use your own discretion. A lot of language, a lot of violence, a lot of bloodletting, and so forth. It is a graphic novel turned into a movie. But it's an excellent film as far as the storyline and as far as revealing the truth about everything, okay, that has happened and likely will happen. So, use your own discretion there. But if you look up clips on YouTube or whatever, you can see a lot of the stuff I'm talking about. You know, you might even be able to rent the movie on YouTube. I have no idea. I didn't check. Like I said, I own the DVD. I've owned it for years. My brother actually inspired me to get it because he's involved with an organization that knows the truth about pharmaceuticals and what they do and everything else. Speaking of that, I've mentioned this before, but I'll tell you all once again, for those of you that don't remember, several months ago, maybe not several months, a couple months, I don't know, I did a video where I sat at the table with my laptop open and I read you all the Pasteur Act. And I told people then that the only way to save healthcare in this country is through the Pasteur Act, because True Science Alliance, the company True Science Alliance, TrueScienceAlliance.org, has the answers to a lot of the things that people have questions for regarding natural cures for a lot of diseases and illnesses. The problem is that, and I know this firsthand because I know people that have undergone the medical technologies and the cures and the treatments and so forth and been cured, have gotten a new lease on life. So TrueScienceAlliance.org is that website for people who are interested. The name of the company is True Science Alliance. And they have been around, I don't know how long. I've known about them since 2008 was when I first heard about them. And they wanted to do business with the United States for a long time, as well as other nations. The problem is the other countries and nations want to make the rules. And True Science Alliance is like, no, we make the rules. If you want our technologies, if you want to cure your people, if you want to help your people, if you want to give them proper health care, we make the rules. No government was willing to comply, which is why they would rather have people die in this country and other countries. But specifically in this country, the Pasteur Act has been around a long, long time. Well, what was their answer? Let it sit on a desk, just like other things that we're aware of. Not do anything about it. Never vote on it. Never pass it. Never sign it into law. Just let it sit there and rot. Just let it sit there and collect dust. And now a government shutdown and nothing is happening. Now people will lose their health care. Now people will lose everything. Because your government will do nothing to stop it. And they could have for years. And it didn't matter what the regime or administration. People knew about this. I've known about it since 2008. I would imagine the government probably knew about it around the same time. So you can go look back to who was the president at that time and who was in charge of this and who was in charge of that. We've had many. We've had many governments, many regimes, many administrations. Nobody wanted to do anything to save the American people regarding healthcare. As well as other countries, not just us, as well as other countries. But one country is smart enough. And people have asked me, before in conversation and whatnot, well, not for my advice or whatever. I've just heard it in conversation. I've had one person ask me, but it's like, should we stay in America? Should we stay in the U.S.? Should we leave? Should we get passports? Should we do this? Should we do that? Da-da-da-da-da. Well, most people can't afford to do that. If you're listening to me right now, most likely you can't afford to do that. Most likely people have to stay in the United States. However, if you know of someone, or maybe you are that person or what have you, and you're thinking about leaving the United States because of everything that's happening and everything that will happen to this country, I have a suggestion for you. If you want the best health care, if you want the best living environment, the best living situation, True Science Alliance has made a deal with, and it's all going to be on their website soon, so I'm not saying anything I shouldn't say here, but Switzerland is going to be a very happy and healthy country soon. So people are thinking about relocating, moving somewhere, going somewhere. Switzerland might be a good choice. And if memory serves, it's either Switzerland or Sweden, I'm not sure, has such a low crime rate because they actually allow people, on bicycles or whatever, just regular pedestrians or bicyclists or whatever, to carry AR-15s, slung over their shoulders while they're riding bicycles. So they don't have a very high crime rate. It's either Switzerland or Sweden. I'm not sure. I think it's Switzerland, but I'm not for sure. But anyway, because who's going to mug somebody or try to rape somebody who's got an AR-15 slung over their shoulder? Okay? So, Switzerland might be a good choice. Now, I know about CERN and Geneva and all the rest of this stuff, but Switzerland has always been neutral. That's what they're famous for. That and Roger Federer, they've always been neutral, right? In the Alps and everything else. I'm being facetious, but if you're thinking about relocating and you want to have the best healthcare you could have, True Science Alliance is about to make a big deal with Switzerland. I don't know when. I don't have that information. I just know that it's in the works because the United States basically gave True Science Alliance the bird, gave them the finger, flipped them off. Said, nope, we don't want your technologies. We want to kill our people. We want to just keep shooting them up with drugs and vaxes and whatever else, whatever other pharmaceuticals we're going to, kill them with and drug them up with. Nope, that's what we want. And in the meanwhile, we're not even going to give them the proper health care. They're not even going to be able to afford their insurance. And yeah, we're just going to screw our people over. And a lot of other nations and countries are the exact same way because they want depopulation. So that's what they're going to do. But Switzerland seems to care. Switzerland seems to want to save their people. Switzerland seems to want to do what's right by their people and their government. I do know one person that lives in Switzerland. I don't know them personally, but I know who they are. They come on several different live streams. When I used to do live streams, they would come on mine. Sometimes, they leave a comment or whatever, something of that nature. Other people that might listen to me know who they are too. I know one person that lives in Switzerland, and they're going to be very, very happy that they live in Switzerland very soon. And that they didn't move, they didn't leave anywhere else, because at times I thought they probably thought that they maybe should because of CERN and whatnot. But Switzerland will probably be the place that people want to live in the very near future. I'm just throwing it out there. Go to TrueScienceAlliance.org, check out their website, check out their announcements, check out what they're doing. They're going to start posting some things soon, and Switzerland is going to be a very, very happy country. So I'm just with a happy citizenry. Where the United States is going to burn. Cities are going to burn. I don't know when exactly. Maybe this weekend, the No Kings protest. I don't know. But cities are going to burn. They're going to flood. They're going to burn. The U.S. is toast. Someone was texting me earlier. Well, what are we going to do about the illegals? How are we going to get rid of that? I said, it's too late, man. What about the illegal terrorists and all the rest of it? It's too late. America's toast. Should have taken care of that problem years ago. It's over. It's too late. It's too late, baby, it's too late. It's too late, I don't know what to tell you. We sat on our hands for years and did nothing. And now biblical prophecy is right in our face. And things that have been predicted for the last 20, 30, 40 years is right in our face. And it's just going to blast us right in the teeth, It's too late now. So, anyway, take it for what it's worth. A lot of this is my opinion, but I believe it's too late. I really do. Not too late for salvation. It's not too late for people to accept Jesus. It's not too late for any of that. But it's too late for a lot of things. It's too late for a lot of it. And people are going to realize that. They're going to recognize that as they watch their cities burn, as they see all the chaos and the insanity around them. Because like I said, in V for Vendetta, it didn't happen overnight. They had to put the people in fear for a long, long time before they could have a politician rise up. Does that sound familiar? A leader, a religious conservative man, somebody that could get everybody on their side and control the government, control the military, and have them all drink the Kool-Aid, probably even have a stupid slogan like MAGA or some other thing like that. Any of that sound familiar? It didn't happen overnight. It took a long time. But when it did happen, it was game over, man. And only because a revolutionary / terrorist, whatever, like V, was willing to come in and stand up and organize the people and inspire the people to get organized, I should say, did anything change. But that's a movie. It's a comic book. It's not going to happen in real life. So, So this is Mystery Babylon. It is what it is. So anyway, that is the synopsis, And this, believe it or not, is a whole lot shorter than what I did yesterday. What I did yesterday was like an hour and 45 minutes. So I did the best I could. I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is. I'll start to try to upload this. Maybe they'll let this one go through because all I did was talk about the movie this time. Okay? I didn't show anything about it. I just talked about it. So hopefully this will go through. If it doesn't, man, I quit. I give up. But if it goes through, I've done what I can to help you all out, to give you as much information as I possibly can. And I don't know. No King's Protest this Saturday. I guess we'll see what happens from there. All right. Y'all take care. Have a good one. Bye.